I'm going to assume that you're realizing that someone that you care about might have a gambling problem. You want to help, but you aren't sure how to do so without potentially damaging your relationship with them. You might have even tried bringing it up before, and that led to an argument. Or maybe you're still just thinking about what to say and how to say it to prevent that from happening. In this video, I'm going to give you a practical guide to what you can actually do to help someone to stop gambling, depending upon the actual situation at hand. Because the truth is, not every gambler is the same, and not every situation is the exact same. And what works in one situation may completely fail in another. First, it's really important to understand what a gambling addiction actually is. It is a behavioral addiction. It's much like substance abuse. It's driven by dopamine, reward cycles, and this desire for emotional escape. Most people with a gambling problem aren't just being irresponsible. There's also a lot of shame, a lot of fear, a lot of a loss of control that they're dealing with, and also this constant urge to win back something that they feel like they've lost. A lot of times gamblers aren't gambling to make money. It's not really about that. It's more about escaping some form of stress or boredom, just trying to feel some excitement, or just avoiding some other form of emotional pain. And the most difficult truth to deal with is that you can't force someone to stop gambling. Things that you can do are elevating their awareness, helping to change their environment. You can set boundaries and genuinely provide suggestions for them. So instead of trying to control someone that you care about with a gambling problem, the real goal is to figure out what kind of a situation you're dealing with, and then take logical steps to help them based on that. To have a clearer idea of what you're actually dealing with, there are two major questions to ask. One of them is, does this person actually admit that they have a gambling problem? If the answer is no, then we're going to call that situation number one. But if the answer is yes, they do know that they have a gambling problem, then we can go on to question two, which is just, are they open to taking action to stop? If they admit they have a problem, but won't do anything about it, then we're going to call that situation number two. But if they want help and are open to change, we'll call that situation number three. And each one of these requires a completely different approach. Situation one, where they don't even think that they have a problem, is where we really need to recognize that the goal is not to control this person. The goal is to try to build awareness. And what can work for that is just one calm, honest conversation. Not constantly arguing with this person, not extremely emotionally charged confrontations. Just one clear, respectful talk where specifically you're focusing in on the impact and not the morality of their behavior. For example, hey, I'm worried about our finances. Or hey, this is affecting our relationship. Or I'm scared about where this is heading and it's really affecting me. And you can also use specific examples, right? Like maybe there's bills that have been missed, or money that's been borrowed that hasn't been paid back. Or maybe they're trying to hide losses and you've noticed that. And what you're doing here is you're really just planting a seed of awareness, right? What doesn't work is yelling at someone, calling them names, lecturing them about the morality of their behavior, or also issuing threats that you don't follow through on. If they don't see the problem yet, you can't really move toward trying to change their behavior. You can only start by helping them to recognize it. Now, situation number two, where someone is willing to admit that they have a problem but won't do anything to change it, well, this is one of the most difficult situations because they might say, I know I have a problem, I'll stop soon, just give me one more chance, but things never really change. And in this situation, your goal is to try to remove the fuel from the fire. You want to try to do things maybe to help change the environment. So the main fuel for gambling is always going to be easy access to money. So practical steps can include separating your finances from theirs. It could be, stop giving them loans or giving them cash. It could be canceling shared cards that you have with this person, if it comes to that. Or just finding ways to limit any access to large sums of money. And then you communicate one clear boundary, like, hey, I care about you, but I cannot support this behavior anymore. I'm here to help, but things have to change. I won't continue to give you money if this gambling is going to continue. And this is critical. Only set boundaries that you're actually willing to enforce. Boundaries are not meant to be punishments, right? They are the rules for what you will and will not allow in your life. Now, for situation number 3, where they acknowledge that they have a problem and they actually want to stop, this is the most hopeful situation. If they truly want to stop, then your role becomes supportive and practical. First, you can just encourage them to do things like blocking the gambling itself, and that could mean self-exclusion or self-banning from casinos. It could be encouraging them to use gambling blocking software or deleting the betting apps that they have on their phone, or even blocking the gambling sites on their computer. Help them to add friction wherever it's possible. And then again, you can help to control the access to money, right? You can be an accountability partner for finances. You can help them to set spending limits and automatic bill payments, prepaid credit cards, instead of allowing them to continue to go and use credit. And third, and what I think is one of the most important pieces of this, is to help them replace their dopamine. Because gambling is a situation where you're trying to stimulate yourself and escape from something. And if you just remove it without replacing that behavior, then the urge will usually come back, and it'll come back in the form of wanting to gamble more. So if you can help them to find healthier alternatives like exercising, other new hobbies, social activities, creative outlets, learning new skills. And that can be something as simple as going to the gym together, taking walks, trying out a new kind of a class, anything like that. It can really, really help them to find new sources of excitement and relief that don't involve gambling. Now, no matter which one of these situations you're in, it can be very helpful to get outside help too, right? That can make a huge difference, and that's things like Gamblers Anonymous, therapy, financial counseling, addiction hotlines. These things can actually help. And just as important as well is support for you. Reach out to family. If you need to seek counseling, do that as well. If you have trusted friends or mentors that you can go to about this, that can be really helpful, because the truth is that it's going to be really, really hard for you to help fix someone else's addiction when you aren't being supported yourself. If you remember nothing else from this video, just remember the 2 questions, right? Is this person aware that they have a problem? If not, then your goal can be to raise their awareness. And if so, you ask the second question of, do they actually want to get help? And if not, then it's going to be a lot harder. And you're going to have a very real conversation with them about setting boundaries. But if they are, then you've got some really clear steps that you can take, which is to help them actively change their habits and behavior. And just remember that you can support them and you can guide them, but you cannot control them. And sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is just help to create conditions where real change is actually possible. Now, this is a problem that I actually do deeply care about, and this is why we're building something called No Dice. It's an app designed to help people track, understand, and take control of their gambling habits. If this video resonated with you or someone that you know who needs it, we're giving away 500 free memberships to the first people who will join the waitlist. You can click the link in the description to sign up for the waitlist, or you can share this video with someone who you think could use this. I hope this is helpful, and until next time, I'll see you later.